Every conversation has two layers. The first layer is what people say. The second layer is what they actually mean. Most people only hear the first layer, and that is why they misunderstand intentions, trust the wrong people, and miss the signals that reveal someone's true mindset. But the moment you learn to observe behavior carefully, something interesting happens. You begin to notice patterns in tone, reactions, and body language that quietly reveal what someone is really thinking. In this video, you will discover powerful lessons that will train your awareness and help you understand people far more clearly than before. And once you begin to see these hidden signals, conversations will never look the same again. You will start noticing the small details that most people completely miss: the pauses, the subtle expressions, the shifts in energy. Because the truth is simple, people reveal their minds constantly, but only those who are truly observant can see it. Chapter 1. Silence reveals more than words. Most people believe that the secret to good communication is speaking well. They think the person who talks the most or explains things the best is the one who understands people the most. But in reality, the greatest observers are often the quietest people in the room. When you speak less, your attention naturally shifts toward observing others. You begin to notice small details that most people completely miss. When you stop talking and simply watch, people slowly start revealing their true thoughts and emotions. Words can easily be controlled, but body language is much harder to hide. Someone might say they are fine, but their face may look tense, their voice may sound uncertain, or their eyes may avoid contact. These small signals often reveal what a person truly feels inside. A confident person usually behaves in a calm and natural way. Their posture is relaxed, their voice is steady, and their eye contact feels comfortable. But someone who is nervous or hiding something often shows small signs without realizing it. They may look away frequently, touch their face or neck, speak too fast, or explain things more than necessary. Silence gives you the ability to notice these signals clearly. Chapter 2. People reveal their mind through small reactions. Human beings cannot completely hide what they feel inside. Even when someone tries very hard to control their emotions, small reactions still appear on their face and in their body language. These reactions often happen very quickly, sometimes in just a fraction of a second, but they can reveal what a person is truly thinking. For example, when someone hears unexpected news, their first reaction usually appears on their face before they even speak. A quick look of surprise, a slight frown, or a brief smile can reveal their real emotion. After that moment, they may try to control their expression and respond in a more polite or careful way, but that first reaction often tells the truth. These small signals are sometimes called micro-expressions. They are tiny changes in facial muscles that happen naturally when emotions appear. A person may briefly tighten their lips when they feel uncomfortable, raise their eyebrows when they are surprised, or narrow their eyes when they feel suspicious. The important thing is not to judge someone based on one single reaction. Instead, pay attention to patterns. When a person's words say one thing but their reactions show something different, it often means there is more happening beneath the surface. Learning to notice these small reactions can help you understand people's thoughts and emotions much more clearly. Chapter 3. The way people treat others reveals their character. If you truly want to understand what kind of person someone is, do not only focus on how they treat you. Most people behave well when they want to impress someone or when they expect something in return. But a person's real character appears in moments where there is nothing to gain. Watch how someone treats people who cannot benefit them in any way. Notice how they speak to waiters, drivers, cleaners, or strangers they meet for the first time. These small moments reveal much more about a person's mindset than polite conversations with friends or important people. A person with genuine respect and kindness usually treats everyone with basic dignity. They speak calmly, show patience, and do not look down on others. This type of behavior shows emotional maturity and inner stability. On the other hand, someone who becomes rude, impatient, or disrespectful toward people they consider less important often reveals arrogance or insecurity inside. Human behavior follows patterns. A person who disrespects others when there are no consequences will eventually show the same attitude in other areas of life. They may appear polite at first, but over time their real mindset becomes visible. By observing how people treat others, you begin to understand their true nature. And once you see someone's character clearly, it becomes much easier to understand how they think and how they will behave in different situations. Chapter 4. What people complain about reveals their priorities. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to understand what someone is truly thinking is to listen carefully to what they complain about most often. Complaints may seem like ordinary conversations, but in reality they reveal a great deal about a person's inner world. What people repeatedly talk about, criticize, or feel frustrated about usually reflects what occupies their mind the most. Think about everyday conversations. Many people constantly talk about problems at work, unfair treatment from others, lack of money, or how difficult their life feels. These complaints are not random. They often reveal the fears, desires, and priorities that live inside a person's mind. Someone who frequently complains about money may be deeply worried about financial security or comparing their life to others. A person who constantly criticizes people around them may be struggling with insecurity or feeling the need to appear superior. Complaints also show where a person places their attention. Some individuals focus heavily on what is missing in their life. They talk about what they do not have, what others are doing wrong, or why things never work in their favor. Over time, this habit shapes the way they see the world. Their mind becomes trained to search for problems instead of opportunities. On the other hand, some people rarely complain. This does not mean their life is perfect or that they never face difficulties. It simply means they choose to focus their energy differently. Instead of repeating the same frustrations again and again, they look for solutions, lessons, or ways to improve their situation. Their conversations often revolve around ideas, growth, or future plans rather than endless criticism. Listening to complaints can therefore give you a deeper understanding of someone's mindset. When you notice the same themes appearing again and again in a person's words, you begin to see what truly matters to them. Their complaints reveal what they fear losing, what they wish they had, and sometimes what they feel powerless to change. This does not mean you should judge people harshly for expressing frustration. Everyone needs to release stress sometimes. But when complaints become a constant pattern, they reveal something deeper about how a person thinks and where their attention lives. By simply paying attention to the topics people complain about the most, you gain insight into their priorities, their insecurities, and their emotional focus. And once you understand these patterns, it becomes much easier to understand what is happening inside their mind. Chapter 5. Inconsistency reveals hidden intentions. One of the clearest ways to understand what someone is truly thinking is to observe whether their words and actions remain consistent over time. Consistency is a strong sign of honesty and authenticity. When a person's behavior, promises, and attitude stay steady in different situations, it usually means they are genuine. Their words match their actions, and their actions match their values. However, when a person's behavior constantly changes, it often reveals that something deeper is happening beneath the surface. Someone may say one thing today and something completely different tomorrow. They might promise support but disappear when it is actually needed. They may behave kindly in front of certain people, but act very differently when the situation changes. These inconsistencies are important signals. They often show that a person is trying to manage how others see them, rather than simply being honest about who they are. Maintaining a false image requires effort, and over time it becomes difficult to keep everything aligned. Small contradictions begin to appear in the way someone speaks and behaves. For example, a person may say they value honesty, but when faced with a difficult situation, they avoid telling the truth. Someone may claim they care deeply about a friendship, yet their actions repeatedly show a lack of effort or attention. Another person may present themselves as calm and confident, but in stressful moments their behavior suddenly becomes defensive or aggressive. These situations reveal something important. People can control their words easily, but controlling their actions consistently over time is much harder. Eventually, real intentions begin to show through patterns of behavior. This is why it is important to observe people over time instead of judging them based on a single conversation or moment. Anyone can behave well for a short period. Anyone can say the right words when the situation requires it. But true character reveals itself through repeated actions. Pay attention to patterns rather than promises. Notice whether someone's behavior remains stable when circumstances change. Watch how they respond during moments of pressure, disappointment, or conflict. These situations often reveal far more about a person's true mindset than comfortable and easy moments. Inconsistency can also appear in smaller ways. Someone may frequently change their opinions depending on who they are speaking to. They may agree with everyone around them, not because they truly share the same views, but because they want to maintain approval. This behavior often reveals a strong desire for validation or fear of disagreement. Sometimes inconsistency can also reveal hidden intentions. A person may behave kindly when they need something from you, but once their goal is achieved, their behavior may shift. Their attention fades, their tone changes, and their effort disappears. Observing these patterns helps you understand what truly motivates them. Learning to notice these changes is an important skill. It allows you to separate genuine people from those who simply adapt their behavior to control how others see them. It protects you from trusting words that are not supported by consistent action. When you begin paying attention to consistency, you start seeing people more clearly. You stop being guided by promises alone and start observing real behavior. And over time, these patterns reveal the true intentions, values, and mindset that live inside a person's mind. Chapter 6. Emotional triggers reveal hidden thoughts. Every human being has emotional triggers. These are certain topics, situations, or words that immediately change the way a person reacts. Sometimes the reaction is very small, but other times it is strong and noticeable. When you learn to observe these reactions carefully, you begin to understand what is happening inside someone's mind. Most people try to present a calm and controlled image of themselves. During normal conversations, they choose their words carefully and behave in a socially acceptable way. But when an emotional trigger appears, their natural reaction often comes out before they can fully control it. For example, imagine mentioning a certain topic during a conversation and suddenly the person becomes defensive. Their voice may become louder, their tone may change, or they may quickly try to change the subject. This reaction usually means the topic touched something deeper inside their mind. It may be connected to a fear, an insecurity, or a past experience they are uncomfortable with. In other situations, a person may react strongly to criticism. Even a small suggestion might make them feel attacked. Instead of calmly considering the feedback, they may immediately defend themselves or blame others. This kind of reaction often reveals hidden self-doubt. Deep inside, they may already question their own abilities, so any criticism feels like confirmation of their fears. Sometimes emotional triggers appear in more subtle ways. A person may suddenly become quiet when a certain subject is mentioned. Their body language may change, or they may avoid eye contact. Even silence can be a reaction. It often shows that the topic carries emotional weight for them. These reactions are important signals because they reveal what a person is protecting emotionally. Every individual has areas of life where they feel sensitive or vulnerable. When those areas are touched during conversation, the mind reacts quickly in order to defend itself. Learning to observe these moments does not mean judging people harshly. Everyone has emotional triggers, and they are a natural part of being human. However, when you notice these reactions carefully, they give you clues about a person's inner struggles, fears, and experiences. For example, someone who becomes uncomfortable when discussing failure may have experienced strong criticism in the past. A person who reacts strongly to discussions about trust may have been betrayed before. Another person may become defensive when talking about success because they secretly feel pressure to prove themselves. These emotional reactions show what lies beneath the surface of someone's personality. They reveal what a person values deeply, what they fear losing, and what memories or experiences have shaped their mindset. When you begin to observe emotional triggers calmly, you start understanding people on a deeper level. Instead of only hearing what they say, you start seeing the emotions behind their words. Over time, these observations allow you to understand their motivations, insecurities, and true feelings much more clearly. Chapter 7. To read others, you must first master your own mind. Many people want to understand what others are thinking, but they often forget one important truth. If your own mind is restless, emotional, or distracted, it becomes very difficult to observe anyone clearly. When your thoughts are filled with assumptions, fears, or strong emotions, you stop seeing people as they truly are. Instead, you begin projecting your own feelings onto them. For example, when someone feels insecure, they may start believing that everyone is judging them or thinking negatively about them, even when that may not be the case. A person who is constantly worried about rejection may misinterpret neutral behavior as disrespect or dislike. In this way, the mind creates stories that are not always true. This is why mastering your own mind is the foundation of understanding others. When your mind becomes calm and balanced, your ability to observe people improves naturally. You stop reacting impulsively and start noticing subtle details in behavior, tone, and attitude. Self-awareness plays a powerful role in this process. The more you understand your own emotions, habits, and reactions, the easier it becomes to recognize similar patterns in others. When you know how fear, anger, or excitement affects your own behavior, you can begin to see these same emotional patterns appearing in the people around you. Another important part of mastering your mind is learning to control your emotional reactions. When someone says something that triggers anger or frustration, the natural response is often to react immediately, but reacting too quickly can cloud your judgment. Instead of observing the situation clearly, you become caught in your own emotions. A calm mind allows you to pause before reacting. In that pause, you gain the ability to watch carefully. You notice the tone of someone's voice, the timing of their response, the confidence or hesitation in their body language. These details often reveal more than the actual words spoken. People who have strong emotional control often appear very observant because they are not constantly reacting. They allow conversations and situations to unfold naturally while paying close attention to what is happening around them. Patience is also a key part of this skill. Understanding people does not happen instantly. It develops through observation over time. When you interact with someone repeatedly, you begin to recognize patterns in their behavior. You see how they react during stress, how they behave when they succeed, and how they treat others in different situations. These patterns slowly reveal their mindset, values, and motivations, but noticing them requires patience and awareness. Mastering your own mind also helps you avoid common mistakes when reading people. Many individuals jump to quick conclusions based on a single moment or emotional reaction. They assume they understand someone completely after one conversation. In reality, human behavior is much more complex. A calm and disciplined mind allows you to remain curious instead of judgmental. You observe carefully, gather more information, and allow time to reveal the full picture. When you develop this level of awareness, something powerful begins to happen. You stop being easily manipulated by appearances or charming words. You begin to understand the deeper patterns behind people's behavior. You recognize sincerity, insecurity, ambition, and hidden intentions much more clearly. In the end, reading people is not a mysterious or magical ability. It is simply the result of awareness, patience, and emotional discipline, and the stronger your control over your own mind becomes, the more clearly you will see the minds of others. Chapter 8. Patterns Never Lie. The Secret Language of Human Behavior. One of the greatest mistakes people make when trying to understand others is focusing only on single moments. A person may say something kind today, behave rudely tomorrow, and then apologize the next day. If you judge people only by one situation, it becomes very confusing to understand what they truly think or who they really are. But when you begin to observe patterns over time, everything becomes much clearer. Human behavior follows patterns. Every person has habits in the way they think, react, speak, and treat others. These habits repeat themselves again and again in different situations. When you learn to notice these repeating behaviors, you start seeing the deeper truth behind someone's personality. Think about it carefully. A person who is honest does not become honest only once. Their honesty appears repeatedly in different situations. They speak truthfully even when it is uncomfortable. They take responsibility for mistakes. They do not constantly change their stories to protect their image. Over time, this pattern becomes visible. The same thing happens with negative traits. A person who frequently lies may appear convincing at first. They may tell believable stories and explain things confidently. But if you observe carefully over time, small contradictions begin to appear. Their stories change slightly. Their explanations become more complicated. Eventually, the pattern reveals itself. Patterns are powerful because they remove confusion. Words can easily be manipulated, but repeated behavior is much harder to fake for long periods. A person can pretend for a short time, but maintaining a false personality consistently requires enormous effort. Sooner or later, their natural habits return. This is why patient observation is so important. Instead of rushing to judge someone quickly, watch how they behave in different situations. Notice how they respond when things go well and when things go wrong. Pay attention to how they treat people when they are stressed, frustrated, or disappointed. These moments often reveal the most honest version of someone's character. For example, many people appear calm and friendly when everything in life is going smoothly. But when problems arise, their reactions can change dramatically. Some people become angry, impatient, or blame others. Others remain calm and focused on solving the problem. These reactions reveal important patterns in the way they handle pressure. Another important pattern appears in the way people speak about others. Some individuals constantly criticize or gossip about people behind their backs. They may appear friendly during conversations, but when someone leaves the room, their attitude changes completely. If you notice this pattern repeating frequently, it tells you something important about their mindset. Similarly, people who consistently support others, encourage growth, and speak respectfully usually reveal a stable and positive mindset. Their behavior does not change depending on who is present. Whether they are speaking to friends, strangers, or colleagues, their attitude remains steady. Patterns also appear in the way people handle promises and commitments. A reliable person usually follows through on what they say. If they promise to do something, they make a genuine effort to complete it. If circumstances change and they cannot keep the promise, they communicate honestly about it. On the other hand, someone who repeatedly makes promises but rarely follows through reveals a different pattern. At first, it may seem like simple forgetfulness, but when the behavior continues again and again, it shows a lack of responsibility or respect for others' time and trust. When you start paying attention to these patterns, you begin to understand people at a much deeper level. Instead of reacting emotionally to every small moment, you step back and observe the larger picture of their behavior. This ability protects you from many unnecessary disappointments. Sometimes people appear very charming and convincing in the beginning. They know how to say the right words and create a strong first impression. But first impressions can be misleading. Only time reveals whether someone's behavior remains consistent. Patterns also reveal a person's priorities. People invest their time and energy in the things that truly matter to them. If someone consistently makes time for certain activities or people, it shows what they value most. Likewise, if they repeatedly ignore or delay something important, it reveals where their true priorities lie. For example, a person who frequently says they care about their health but constantly ignores sleep, nutrition, and exercise is showing a pattern that contradicts their words. Similarly, someone who claims to value friendship but rarely shows support during difficult moments reveals another kind of pattern. These observations are not about judging others harshly. Instead, they help you understand reality more clearly. When you see patterns honestly, you stop building false expectations based only on words or temporary behavior. Another powerful aspect of recognizing patterns is understanding emotional cycles. Many people react to similar situations in predictable ways. For instance, someone who struggles with insecurity may repeatedly compare themselves to others. A person who fears failure may avoid taking risks again and again. Once you recognize these patterns, their behavior becomes much easier to understand. You begin to see that people are often acting according to habits formed by past experiences, fears, or beliefs. At the same time, observing patterns can also teach you a lot about yourself. When you watch how others behave, it encourages you to reflect on your own habits. Are your actions consistent with your values? Do your reactions remain stable during stressful situations? Do your words match your behavior over time? This level of self-awareness is extremely valuable. The more clearly you understand your own patterns, the more accurately you can interpret the behavior of others. Over time, this skill transforms the way you interact with people. You become less easily influenced by appearances, promises, or temporary emotions. Instead, you learn to trust consistent behavior and repeated actions. You also become more patient. Instead of rushing to form opinions, you allow time to reveal the truth naturally. And as you observe carefully, you begin noticing details that many people overlook. Patterns never lie. They quietly reveal who someone truly is, what they value, and how they think. When you develop the habit of observing these patterns calmly and patiently, understanding people becomes far less mysterious. In the end, reading people's minds is not about guessing their thoughts. It is about paying attention to the behaviors that repeat again and again. Because, while words may change, patterns always tell the truth about the mind behind them. Chapter 9. Listen to what people don't say. One of the most powerful skills you can develop when trying to understand what someone is thinking is learning to listen beyond words. Most people focus only on what is spoken. They pay attention to sentences, explanations, and conversations, believing that the truth is always expressed directly. But in reality, a large part of human communication happens without words. Silence, hesitation, tone of voice, pauses in conversation, and even the topics people avoid can reveal a great deal about what is happening inside their mind. Often, what someone chooses not to say carries just as much meaning as the things they openly express. Many people carefully control their words during conversations. They may choose polite language, give socially acceptable responses, or avoid sharing their true feelings in order to protect themselves or maintain a certain image. Because of this, if you rely only on spoken words, you may miss a large part of the message. For example, imagine asking someone a simple question about how they feel about a situation. Their response might sound positive and reassuring. They might say everything is fine or that they agree with the plan. But if their voice becomes quiet, their answers become shorter, or they hesitate before speaking, those small signals may suggest that something deeper is happening inside their mind. The tone of voice is especially revealing. Words can be chosen carefully, but tone often reflects genuine emotion. A person may say they are happy for someone, yet their tone might sound flat or slightly tense. Another person may say they are not worried about a problem, but their voice might carry a sense of stress or uncertainty. These subtle differences between words and tone can reveal the true emotional state behind the conversation. Pauses in conversation also carry important meaning. When someone suddenly becomes quiet before answering a question, it may indicate that they are thinking carefully about how to respond. They might be choosing their words very deliberately because they do not want to reveal their true thoughts. In other situations, a person may quickly change the topic when a certain subject appears. This reaction often reveals that the subject makes them uncomfortable or that they would prefer not to discuss it openly. Observing these moments helps you understand which areas of conversation carry emotional weight for that person. Another important signal is the way someone responds when silence appears. Many people feel uncomfortable with silence and quickly fill the space with more words. In these moments, they often reveal more information than they originally intended to share. They might explain details, repeat themselves, or talk about things that provide clues about their thoughts and feelings. When you remain calm and allow silence to exist naturally in a conversation, you create space for people to express themselves more openly. They may begin sharing opinions, concerns, or emotions that they would normally keep hidden in a fast-moving conversation. Body language also plays a strong role in what people communicate without words. Facial expressions, posture, and small movements can reveal emotional responses that words attempt to hide. For instance, someone might say they agree with a decision while their body leans slightly away or their arms cross defensively. These subtle movements can suggest discomfort or disagreement. Similarly, eye contact can reveal many emotional states. A person who feels confident and sincere often maintains natural eye contact during conversation. But someone who feels uncertain, nervous, or dishonest may avoid eye contact frequently or shift their gaze repeatedly. However, it is important to remember that a single signal does not always tell the whole story. People may avoid eye contact for many reasons, such as shyness, cultural habits, or simple distraction. The real understanding comes from observing patterns over time, rather than judging one isolated moment. Another powerful clue lies in the topics people repeatedly return to during conversation. When someone frequently brings up a particular subject, it usually means that topic occupies a significant place in their thoughts. Whether it is career success, personal relationships, financial concerns, or future plans, the themes that appear repeatedly reveal what matters most to them. At the same time, the topics people consistently avoid can be equally revealing. If someone always changes the subject when a certain issue appears, it may indicate discomfort, unresolved emotions, or experiences they prefer not to revisit. Learning to listen beyond words requires patience and attention. It means slowing down your own reactions and focusing fully on the person in front of you. Instead of thinking about what you will say next, you allow yourself to notice the rhythm of the conversation, the tone of voice, the pauses, and the emotional signals hidden within the interaction. This level of listening is rare because many conversations today move very quickly. People often interrupt, rush to respond, or focus more on expressing their own opinions than truly understanding others. But when you train yourself to listen deeply, you begin to notice layers of communication that most people overlook. You start seeing the difference between what someone says and what they feel. You begin understanding when a person is confident, uncertain, excited, or uncomfortable even if they never express those emotions directly. Over time, this awareness becomes a powerful advantage in understanding human behavior. It allows you to respond more thoughtfully, avoid misunderstandings, and build stronger connections with others. Most importantly, it helps you see people more clearly. Instead of relying only on spoken words, you begin recognizing the full language of human communication, the pauses, the tones, the gestures, and the silence that often speak louder than words. When you develop the ability to listen to what people do not say, you begin to understand the hidden layers of their thoughts and emotions. And in that quiet awareness, the mind behind the conversation slowly reveals itself. Chapter 10. Context changes everything. One of the most important lessons in understanding what people are truly thinking is learning to observe behavior within its context. Many misunderstandings happen because people judge someone's words or actions without considering the situation surrounding them. Human behavior rarely exists in isolation. Every reaction, decision, and emotional response is influenced by circumstances, environment, past experiences, and the social setting of the moment. When you want to understand someone's mind, it is not enough to look at a single action. You must look at the situation in which that action occurred. The same behavior can carry very different meanings depending on the context. For example, imagine someone speaking very little during a conversation. If you look only at the behavior itself, you might assume that the person is uninterested, rude, or hiding something. But when you consider the context, the meaning may change completely. Perhaps they are simply shy in unfamiliar environments. Perhaps they are carefully listening and processing information before responding. Perhaps they are feeling tired or distracted because of something happening in their personal life. Without understanding the context, it is easy to create false conclusions. Context also influences emotional reactions. A person who appears calm and patient in normal situations may react very differently when facing stress, pressure, or personal challenges. This does not necessarily mean their character has suddenly changed. It may simply reveal how the environment is affecting their emotional state. For example, someone who works under intense pressure may appear impatient or distracted during conversations. Their behavior might seem cold or distant, but the real cause could be mental exhaustion rather than negative intentions toward others. When you observe people with awareness of context, you begin to see behavior as part of a larger picture instead of judging it too quickly. Another important aspect of context is the role of relationships. People behave differently depending on who they are interacting with. The way someone speaks to close friends may be very different from the way they speak to colleagues or strangers. This change does not always mean that one version of their personality is fake. It simply reflects how human beings naturally adjust their behavior according to social dynamics. For instance, someone may appear confident and expressive when surrounded by close friends, but quiet and reserved in a professional setting. Another person might appear relaxed and humorous in informal situations, but serious and focused during important discussions. Understanding these changes helps you interpret behavior more accurately. Instead of assuming inconsistency, you begin to recognize the influence of environment and social expectations. Context also includes timing. The moment when something is said can be just as important as the words themselves. A person who receives difficult news may react emotionally in the moment, even if they would normally remain calm. Later, when they have had time to process the situation, their reaction may look completely different. If you judge someone only by their immediate reaction, you might misunderstand their deeper intentions or personality. But when you observe how their behavior evolves over time, you gain a more balanced understanding. Past experiences are another important part of context. Every person carries memories, lessons, and emotional experiences that influence how they see the world. These experiences shape their reactions, fears, and expectations. For example, someone who has experienced betrayal in the past may appear cautious or suspicious in new relationships. Their behavior may seem distant at first, but it may simply reflect a protective habit formed from previous experiences. Similarly, a person who grew up in a highly competitive environment may naturally focus strongly on achievement and success. Their mindset may be shaped by years of conditioning rather than immediate circumstances. When you consider context, you begin to understand that behavior often reflects deeper stories and experiences. Cultural and social backgrounds also influence how people communicate. In some cultures, direct communication is valued and encouraged. People express their opinions openly and speak clearly about disagreements. In other cultures, communication may be more indirect. People may avoid direct confrontation in order to maintain harmony. If you are unaware of these cultural differences, you may misinterpret someone's intentions. What appears evasive or unclear in one cultural context may actually be a respectful way of communicating in another. Context also includes emotional atmosphere. The environment surrounding a conversation can strongly affect how people behave. A relaxed setting often encourages openness and honesty, while a tense or formal environment may cause people to become guarded or cautious with their words. For example, a person might feel comfortable sharing their true thoughts during a quiet one-on-one conversation, but remain silent during a group discussion where they fear being judged or misunderstood. Recognizing these environmental influences helps you understand why someone may behave differently in different situations. Another powerful aspect of context is recognizing patterns within similar situations. When you observe how someone behaves across multiple contexts, you begin to identify which behaviors are stable parts of their personality and which ones are temporary reactions to specific circumstances. A person who consistently shows kindness, patience, and honesty across many different environments likely possesses those qualities as part of their character. But if someone behaves kindly only when it benefits them or when they are being observed, that pattern reveals something different. By comparing behavior across contexts, you gain deeper insight into what is genuine and what is situational. Understanding context also helps you avoid unnecessary conflict. Many arguments happen because people interpret someone's words or actions in the worst possible way without considering other explanations. When you train yourself to ask questions like, what might be happening in their environment, or what situation might be influencing this reaction, you create space for understanding instead of immediate judgment. This mindset allows you to remain calm and thoughtful during interactions. Instead of reacting emotionally, you observe carefully and gather more information before forming conclusions. Over time, this habit transforms the way you read people. You stop seeing behavior as isolated events and start recognizing the complex network of influences that shape human actions. This awareness brings clarity. It allows you to understand not only what someone is doing, but why they might be doing it. Reading someone's mind does not mean guessing their thoughts perfectly. It means learning to observe behavior carefully while considering the full context surrounding it. When you combine observation with awareness of environment, timing, relationships, and past experiences, human behavior begins to make much more sense. In the end, context acts like a lens that brings the full picture into focus. Without it, actions appear confusing and unpredictable. But when you learn to see behavior within its proper context, you begin to understand the deeper meaning behind people's words, reactions, and decisions. And once you develop this perspective, the mystery of human behavior slowly transforms into something far more understandable. Chapter 11. Energy Never Lies, Feeling What People Truly Carry Inside. There is another layer of human understanding that many people overlook because it is difficult to measure with logic alone. It is the subtle emotional atmosphere a person carries with them. Some people call it energy, presence, or emotional vibration. Whatever name you give it, this invisible signal influences how others feel around someone even before a single word is spoken. Think about the moments in life when you walked into a room and immediately sensed something unusual. Maybe everyone looked calm on the surface, but you could feel tension in the air. Or perhaps you met someone for the first time and instantly felt comfortable around them, even though you knew almost nothing about them. These feelings are not random. Human beings constantly pick up emotional signals from one another. The mind may try to hide thoughts through carefully chosen words, but emotional energy often reveals what lies beneath the surface. When someone is carrying stress, anger, insecurity, or fear, it usually influences the way they speak, move, and interact with others. Even if they try to appear calm, the tension often becomes noticeable through subtle details. For example, a person who is confident and emotionally stable often creates a calm presence around them. Their voice feels steady, their movements are relaxed, and conversations with them feel natural and comfortable. You may not be able to explain exactly why, but you feel at ease when interacting with them. On the other hand, someone who is carrying hidden frustration or insecurity may create a different emotional atmosphere. Their tone may feel tense, their body movements may appear restless, or their reactions may seem slightly defensive. Even when their words are polite, the emotional tone behind those words can feel different. Learning to recognize this emotional energy requires awareness and sensitivity. It means paying attention not only to what someone says, but also to how their presence affects the environment around them. Does the conversation feel relaxed or tense? Do people around them seem comfortable or cautious? Do their reactions appear balanced or emotionally charged? These subtle signals can provide valuable insight into what someone may be experiencing internally. One reason emotional energy is so revealing is that emotions influence behavior automatically. When a person feels secure and peaceful inside, their body language naturally reflects that stability. Their breathing is calm, their voice is steady, and their movements are controlled. But when someone feels anxious or overwhelmed, their body often reveals those emotions through small changes. They may shift their posture frequently, speak more quickly, or interrupt others unintentionally. These behaviors are not always conscious choices. They are often the body's natural response to emotional tension. Another important aspect of emotional energy is authenticity. People who are genuine tend to create a sense of consistency between their words, actions, and emotional presence. Their behavior feels aligned with their personality, What you see and what you feel from them appear to match. However, when someone is trying very hard to present a certain image that does not fully reflect their true feelings, small inconsistencies often appear. Their words may sound confident, but their tone may carry hesitation. Their smile may appear friendly, but their eyes may not fully express the same warmth. These subtle differences are often noticed by people who pay close attention to emotional signals. Trusting your emotional perception does not mean jumping to quick conclusions about others. Instead, it means using these signals as clues that encourage deeper observation. When you notice tension, discomfort, or inconsistency in someone's emotional presence, it may simply mean that something important is happening beneath the surface. Sometimes the person themselves may not even be fully aware of these feelings. Human emotions are complex, and people often struggle to understand their own thoughts and reactions. Another reason emotional energy matters is because emotions are contagious. When someone enters a room carrying strong emotional tension, it can influence the mood of others around them. Similarly, someone who carries calm confidence can help create a relaxed and focused atmosphere. You may notice this in group settings. A single person who is anxious or frustrated can unintentionally spread that tension throughout a conversation. At the same time, one calm and balanced individual can help stabilize the emotional tone of the entire group. Recognizing these emotional dynamics allows you to understand social interactions more clearly. Instead of focusing only on spoken words, you begin noticing the emotional currents moving beneath the surface. Developing this awareness also strengthens your ability to remain emotionally balanced. When you recognize the emotional state of others, you can respond with greater patience and understanding. Instead of reacting impulsively to tension or negativity, you learn to remain calm and observe what is really happening. This ability becomes especially valuable during difficult conversations. When someone reacts emotionally, their words may not fully represent their deeper thoughts. By paying attention to their emotional energy, you can sometimes understand the underlying concern or fear that is driving their reaction. In many situations, acknowledging this emotional layer can improve communication. When people feel understood at an emotional level, they often become more open and honest in their conversations. However, it is also important to maintain healthy boundaries. Understanding someone's emotional state does not mean absorbing their emotions or allowing their negativity to control your own mindset. True awareness allows you to recognize emotional signals while maintaining your own inner balance. This skill grows stronger with practice. The more you observe people carefully, the more familiar you become with the subtle signals that reveal emotional states. Over time, you begin recognizing patterns that help you understand what others may be experiencing internally. Eventually, this awareness becomes almost automatic. You begin sensing tension, sincerity, confidence, or insecurity in the emotional tone of conversations without needing to analyze every detail consciously. When you combine this emotional awareness with the other skills you have learned, observing body language, recognizing behavioral patterns, understanding context, and listening beyond words, your ability to understand people becomes much deeper and more accurate. You begin seeing human behavior as a complete picture rather than a collection of isolated signals. In the end, reading people's minds is not about controlling others or uncovering secret thoughts like a magician. It is about becoming more aware of the many signals human beings naturally express through words, actions, emotions, and presence. Energy never lies. It quietly reveals the emotional truth behind every interaction. And when you learn to observe this invisible language with patience and awareness, you begin understanding people in ways that many others never notice. Chapter 12. Time reveals the truth no one can hide. If there is one force that exposes the real nature of every person, it is time. Words can be controlled. Expressions can be practiced. Behavior can be carefully adjusted for a short period. But over long periods of time, it becomes almost impossible for anyone to hide who they truly are. Time slowly removes the masks people wear and reveals the patterns that live underneath. Many people make the mistake of judging others too quickly. A person might appear kind, intelligent, trustworthy, or confident during the first few interactions. First impressions can be powerful because people are usually very aware of how they present themselves in new situations. They choose their words carefully, manage their body language, and try to leave a positive impression. But the longer you observe someone, the harder it becomes for them to maintain a carefully constructed image. Real personality traits begin to appear in small moments. Habits that were hidden during early interactions start repeating themselves naturally. Time reveals how someone behaves when they are tired, stressed, frustrated, or disappointed. These moments often show the most honest version of a person's character because emotional pressure makes it difficult to maintain a false image. For example, someone may appear calm and polite during casual conversations. But when they face criticism or disagreement, their reaction may reveal something deeper. They might become defensive, dismissive, or impatient. Another person might respond with curiosity and a willingness to understand different perspectives. These reactions reveal patterns that become clearer over time. Another important truth about time is that it exposes consistency. A trustworthy person remains reliable even when situations become inconvenient. They follow through on commitments, communicate honestly, and show respect repeatedly across different circumstances. But someone who is unreliable may appear responsible at first, while gradually showing a pattern of broken promises or excuses. At the beginning, these moments may seem small and unimportant, but when they repeat over time, they reveal a deeper habit. This is why patience is essential when trying to understand people. Quick judgments often lead to misunderstandings. But when you allow time to reveal behavior patterns naturally, your understanding becomes far more accurate. Time also reveals intentions. Some individuals behave kindly when they want something from you. They may offer attention, praise, or support while they are pursuing a specific goal. But once their objective is achieved, their behavior may slowly change. Their messages become less frequent, their tone becomes more distant, their effort fades away. When you observe interactions over time, these shifts become visible. What once appeared as genuine connection may reveal itself as temporary interest driven by personal benefit. At the same time, time also reveals genuine loyalty. A person who truly values you will continue to show respect and support even when there is nothing to gain. Their behavior remains steady during both good and difficult moments. Relationships built on sincerity tend to grow stronger with time because trust develops through repeated positive experiences. But relationships based only on convenience often weaken once the circumstances that created them disappear. Another powerful aspect of time is that it exposes emotional habits. Everyone has patterns in the way they handle challenges. Some people become stronger and wiser after facing difficulties. They learn from their mistakes and gradually improve their mindset. Others repeat the same emotional reactions again and again. They blame others, avoid responsibility, or refuse to reflect on their behavior. These patterns become clearer the longer you observe them. Time also reveals personal growth. A person who is committed to improving themselves will gradually show changes in the way they think, communicate, and behave. Their understanding deepens, their patience grows, and their actions begin reflecting greater maturity. But someone who refuses to grow often remains trapped in the same emotional habits year after year. Their conversations repeat the same complaints, their reactions follow the same patterns, and their mindset stays fixed. Observing this process over time gives you a clearer understanding of someone's true direction in life. Another reason time is such a powerful teacher is because life constantly presents new situations. Each situation reveals another aspect of personality. A person may behave one way during success and another during failure. Some individuals remain humble and grateful when things go well. Others become arrogant or dismissive. Similarly, when facing setbacks, some people show resilience and determination while others fall into negativity or blame. Each situation adds another piece to the puzzle of understanding someone's mind. Time also helps you understand the depth of someone's values. Values are not revealed through words alone. They are revealed through choices repeated consistently over long periods. Someone may say they value honesty, kindness, or loyalty, but the true meaning of those words becomes visible through actions over months and years. Do they remain honest when telling the truth is difficult? Do they remain kind when they gain nothing in return? Do they remain loyal during challenging situations? Only time can answer these questions. One of the greatest advantages of observing people over time is that it protects you from illusions. Many individuals are skilled at presenting attractive versions of themselves during brief encounters. They know how to speak confidently, create positive impressions, and appear trustworthy. But when you observe behavior across different situations and time periods, you begin seeing beyond the surface. You recognize whether their actions consistently support the image they present. If the patterns align, it confirms authenticity. If the patterns contradict the image, it reveals something different. Patience allows truth to appear naturally without confrontation or investigation. You do not need to question every action or search aggressively for hidden motives. Simply observing calmly and allowing time to unfold often reveals everything you need to know. At the same time, time can also deepen understanding and compassion. When you observe people long enough, you begin to see the experiences that shaped them. You notice their struggles, fears, ambitions, and efforts to improve. This broader perspective helps you understand that human behavior is complex. People are not simply good or bad. They are influenced by past experiences, emotional wounds, personal ambitions, and the environments they live in. Recognizing this complexity helps you read people with greater wisdom rather than harsh judgment. In the end, time acts like a quiet mirror, reflecting the true nature of every individual. It slowly removes the masks people wear and reveals the habits, intentions, and values that shape their behavior. When you learn to observe patiently, without rushing to conclusions, you begin seeing people more clearly than ever before. Because while words can hide the truth for a moment, and appearances can deceive for a while, time eventually reveals the mind that lies beneath them. Understanding what people are thinking is not about becoming a magician who can read secret thoughts. It is about becoming more aware of human behavior. Every person constantly reveals pieces of their inner world through their words, reactions, body language, emotional tone, and repeated actions. The problem is that most people never learn to observe these signals carefully. In this journey, you have learned something very important. The mind always leaves clues. Silence reveals what words try to hide. Small reactions show genuine emotions. The way people treat others exposes their character. Complaints reveal priorities. Inconsistency exposes hidden intentions. Emotional triggers show what someone is protecting inside. Patterns reveal the habits of the mind. What people avoid saying can speak louder than what they express openly. Context explains why behavior appears the way it does. Emotional energy reflects inner states, and time slowly uncovers the truth that no one can hide forever. When you combine all of these observations, something powerful begins to happen. You stop looking at people only through their words. Instead, you start seeing the complete picture of their behavior. You notice patterns, emotional signals, and repeated actions that reveal how someone truly thinks and feels. However, this skill should never be used to manipulate or control others. The purpose of understanding human behavior is awareness. It allows you to protect your peace, make wiser decisions about relationships, and avoid being misled by appearances or empty promises. At the same time, this knowledge helps you become a better communicator. When you understand how people think and react, you can respond with more patience and clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively to misunderstandings, you begin to see the deeper emotions behind someone's behavior. But perhaps the most important lesson of all is this: the better you understand your own mind, the easier it becomes to understand others. Self-awareness sharpens observation. When you recognize your own emotions, fears, and habits, you begin noticing the same patterns in the people around you. In the end, reading people's minds is not about guessing their secrets. It is about paying attention to the signals that human beings naturally reveal every day. Because the truth is simple. People are always showing you who they are. Most people just are not paying attention.